Hey guys, it's me, Dave, and welcome back to another LEGO Star Wars review. Today I have a strange one. This is the TIE Fighter and X-Wing mashup. The set number is 75393. It's going to have 1,063 pieces. It's going to retail for $110. We'll more on that in a second. And then it's going to be released on August 1st of 2024. There's a link down in the description to lego.com. It's available for pre-order as I'm making this review, so you can utilize that if you want to pick up this set. With that in mind, I don't know how I feel about this set. First off, I'm not a fan of these like Disney Plus shows having like Lego Star Wars sets based on. This is nothing new. The Yoda Chronicles, the Freemaker Adventures, those are all Lego Star Wars special TV shows that we've gotten in years past, and Lego has made sets based on those. At least we're getting like notable, iconic Star Wars vehicles. These aren't just random ships. We are getting a TIE Fighter. We are getting X-Wing. The mashup part is the fact you can switch the wings between the two, so you can take the X-foils, put it on the TIE Fighter body, and take the TIE Fighter wings and throw it on the X-Wing. It's an interesting concept, and it's again going to be shown in the Rebuild the Galaxy Disney Plus show. But then you also have characters that are only from that show that aren't notable at all to any of us. Yes, they'll show up in the show, so maybe if you enjoy it, cool, you get characters from it, but they're not from the broader like actual Star Wars universe, so that's a real disappointment. Now we've got to talk about the elephant in the room with this set, which is the fact that not too long ago, in fact they might still be available depending on where you're at in the world, we had a standalone TIE Fighter set and a standalone X-Wing set. The X-Wing came with 4 minifigures, retailed for $50, and the TIE Fighter came with 3 minifigures and retailed for $40. So between the two sets, we're talking $90 and 7 minifigures. And now we have a set that's $20 more with 2 less minifigures. Already, right off the bat, I haven't even built this thing. It's just not looking good. Let's go into the in-depth. I do want to thank LEGO for sending this set over for review, and we'll see what the set's like. So thankfully, this set doesn't have all that many stickers. Pretty low, actually, though we'll talk about prints versus stickers in a minute. Sadly, mine also came bent. A little disappointing. But onto the set. I gotta say, the TIE Fighter and X-Wing, not the minifigures, are quite good. Better than I was expecting. In fact, I like them a lot more in person. But we do need to talk about the minifigure lineup, which in my opinion is the most disappointing thing about this set. So first up, we do have a cool character named L3G0. This is basically what the fan community is dubbing the McDonald's Astromech droid, and I kind of love it. It does look very fun in person. Next, we just have a Rebel pilot. There's no name attached to this character on the box. He does have a unique helmet, but from what I can tell, the torso and legs are the same that Luke Skywalker uses in other sets. I believe the head is also new. Looks okay. Then we have a TIE Fighter pilot. The helmet, I believe the legs are actually the same as the TIE Interceptor pilot, though the torso is different, and this is a female pilot as well underneath the helmet. And then we have our Rebuild the Galaxy characters. So first up is Yezi Scala. I think that's how you pronounce her name. She comes with a gaffy stick. I mean, the figure itself is interesting looking and it could be useful for a mock, but regardless, it's not a canonical character to the actual Star Wars films and movies and TV shows. Then we have a character named Sig Greebling. Okay, I gotta admit, the last name is pretty hilarious. I get it, Greebling, ha ha ha. So, again, basically a non-canonical character that to me is just not an interesting character. And keep in mind, you're paying that Lego Star Wars premium price for non-canonical characters. That's what kind of gets to me. All right, with my little minifigure rant over, let's get on to the best part of this set. The actual set itself. The TIE Fighter and X-Wing, of course, have spring-loaded missiles on either side of their wings. Very cool. And then getting onto the TIE Fighter. At first, when I saw the leak of this set, I was like, I'm not sure how I feel about that cockpit. That doesn't look very good. In person, it looks significantly better. It matches the scale better than the previous iteration of the TIE Fighter. So I will hand that to LEGO. On the backside, there is some engine details, but they are being utilized with stickers. On top of that, they have a sticker piece here on the top that used to be a printed piece on the previous iteration of the TIE Fighter, so that's disappointing to see. And then on top of that, the actual transparent window, while it is a transparent piece, doesn't actually show through to the actual cockpit, which I admit is a minor nitpick, but it's something I always enjoyed about the original TIE Fighters. Then taking a look at the X-Wing here. Now this is not Luke Skywalker's X-Wing, it's just a general maybe Red Squadron X-Wing. I don't know for a fact if that's true or not, but it looks that way. The build techniques for this X-Wing are actually pretty solid. They're general Lego building techniques, and I really like how they use the mech torso piece here on the back of the engine. Very clever parts usage. I did really enjoy that. I was kind of surprised. And then, of course, you can take the McDonald's Astromech droid and pop it right behind the cockpit. As for the little bits of detail, there is some, though I would have expected a little bit more when you have a character included in the set named Sig Greebling. Regardless, I do like the general shape of the X-Wing. There's some good techniques. I actually think it is a slight improvement over the previous iteration from 2021. And then, of course, you can put the X-Foils into attack mode, and these are on normal racket joints and not some type of like mechanism that we've seen in previous iterations. There's also 3 feet for full retractable landing gear. I believe that's a first for an X-Wing. Normally, the feet are attached to the wings themselves, but in this case, it is fully retractable, and there's a reason for that when you get onto the mashup functionality. It's also worth noting that with the racket joints, there isn't as much clutch power there, especially at the end of the wing, so over time I'm worried about those wings separating out more from just general weight pressure. And now the big play function. You'll notice that there's some pins on the underside of both the X-Wing and the TIE Fighter, and you have to pull out these 4 different pins, 2 on each vehicle, and once you do so, you can pull apart the wings like so, and you can switch up the X-Wings to be on the TIE Fighter body and vice versa, and now you have a full mashup between an X-Wing and TIE Fighter. While it's, yes, a gimmicky feature, in reality, in person, you know, it's not that bad. I actually had some fun playing around with these, so I like the concept. Kids are going to definitely enjoy it. Maybe adults will too, but I think it's fun. It's not the end of the world because with the vehicles with their appropriate wings on them still look just as accurate as the previous iterations. There really wasn't a sacrifice in design other than the racket joints used for the X-Foils. I will also say stability is there, though you will notice the wings on both vehicles shake a little bit more, but they're not going to fall off, so I'm not worried about that. Finally, we have a full-on comparison of the previous iteration of the X-Wing and TIE Fighter. I talked about this at the beginning of the video, so let's do a full in-depth comparison between the $50 X-Wing and the $40/$45 TIE Fighter. I say that because it was originally $40, then LEGO upped it $5 during the pandemic, but you could commonly find that TIE Fighter for $40. Now, when you compare all these sets side by side, they're really all the same scale, especially when we're looking at the TIE Fighter here. The only real notable difference is the cockpit change, going from that bigger windshield down to a smaller one. The wings themselves are stud for stud, the same exact size between these vehicles. I think I do prefer the newer one in terms of its overall looks, but keep in mind the older version had more printed pieces, whereas now you have 3 more stickers on the top side. That's a little disappointing. As for the X-Wings, again, they are the exact same size. The only big difference is that the landing gear on the newer iteration is much taller, which actually allows the X-Foils to be in attack position while landed. While that's not accurate, it still looks really cool because, you know, you will be displaying the sets for a certain amount of time before you go and play with it or put it on a mock or whatever you do with your LEGO Star Wars sets. Detail level on the backside is relatively the same between the two. I will hand it that the new one is slightly better. Again, that parts usage of the mech piece does work quite well. And then what does the TIE Bomber look like alongside the new TIE Fighter? They actually have a very similar design aesthetic now. They match a lot better than the previous $40 one. This new, mashup version definitely looks pretty much on par with the TIE Bomber, and I gotta say they do look nice side by side. Now, what about comparing the gold standard of LEGO TIE Fighters, the 2017 TIE Fighter from Solo? And when you compare these two, obviously the older version is humongous compared to this one, and I still love the bigger scale, though I will admit the cockpit design on this newer iteration is slightly better. So in a perfect world, the size of the older one and the detail level of this newest one together would be the perfect TIE Fighter. So fingers crossed in the future we'll see something like that. So I do think the X-Wing and TIE Fighter, even with the fun mashup feature, are solid sets. It's just the minifigures and it's just the value here is so poor. You know, it's pretty funny to me that I have the reverse issue with this set compared to the Dark Falcon. I don't like the Dark Falcon set, but I like the minifigure lineup. Whereas with this, I do actually like the set, but I definitely dislike the minifigure lineup. It's very reverse here. At least there's that third Rebuild the Galaxy set. You know the Starfighter I'm talking about. But as this set stands, well, first off, this is definitely a bad value. Like, awful. I would never pay more than $90 for this. I do not feel like LEGO is charging an appropriate price for what you're getting out of this set. Sure, you're getting 1,063 pieces, so the price per piece ratio is almost there for $110, but it doesn't feel that way in person. I don't actually mind, I don't hate this like functionality of switching the wings. Yes, it's a giant gimmick, but in reality, it's kind of fun. I could see, 12-year-old, 10-year-old David absolutely having fun with this feature. I get it. You know, at the end of the day, Lego Star Wars sets, at least these type of play sets, are of course always kids first, and I could see kids enjoying this. You know, I just discovered that you can switch the engines forward if you want to do that too. So my point being is there is some fun here to be had with this set, especially kids are going to enjoy this. Is it the most graceful thing in the world to switch these wings back and forth? No. But, you know, it's definitely an interesting concept. Does this play feature alone make this set worth that extra $20? Absolutely not. I just cannot fathom why Lego thinks that's okay. I mean, we just got a TIE Fighter and X-Wing that were on store shelves for a total price of $90. And you got more minifigures, and now they're charging $20 more for less minifigures and the same basic sets. Yeah, not sure what's going on there. So with that said, I definitely cannot recommend this set, especially at $110. The set itself, the TIE Fighter and X-Wing, are actually legitimately pretty decent. I don't like this cockpit, but it's not the end of the world in person. Actually, it's a little better executed than I was expecting. There's actually a nice weight in my hand with these sets. So the set itself is actually pretty good. Maybe the McDonald's Astromech Droid is a little bit appealing for some fans. I could see that. But all the other figures here, I mean, normal X-Wing pilot, normal TIE Fighter pilot, these characters only pop up in the Rebuild the Galaxy series show on Disney+, so they're basically no-name characters to me and probably a lot of you. If you can get it between $90 to $80, then I would start to consider it, only because the sets are actually decent. They're not the greatest X-Wing, they're not the greatest TIE Fighter. I'd have to hand that to the 2017 Solo TIE Fighter and the 2018 X-Wing Starfighter. Those are top contender, like best X-Wing, best TIE Fighter sets ever made. These are just okay. So the collector in me would want those sets, not this. But for those of you that just want a TIE Fighter and X-Wing, this is a decent set. Just don't pay that $110. That is just absolutely ridiculous. You're not getting a fair value, in my opinion. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. Thanks again to LEGO for sending this set over for review. Don't forget to check out all my other LEGO Star Wars 2024 summer set reviews. And I hope you guys have a great, wonderful day, and I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.